What is your biggest fear about college?
Debt!
What are you most worried about college?
Debt!
Debt.
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 My bills are all due, and the baby needs shoes, and I'm busted.
There are currently about 44.2 million Americans with student loan debt that totals to $1.26 trillion. Most 20 to 30-year-olds with student debt pay a monthly loan payment of about $351. Federal student loan programs in 2013 turned a profit of $41.3 billion. It is expected that 60% of students today will be making student loan payments well into their 40s. These loans hinder the lives greatly of students, causing 54% to limit their travel, 50% to limit their spending on clothing, 46% have limited their spending on entertainment and events, 45% have limited their amount of eating out, and 40% have even said that they had to limit the amount that they can spend on rents or mortgage payments.
Just thinking about calling on you, and I'm busted.
7 out of 10 seniors who graduate college from a public or nonprofit school had an average student loan debt of $30,000 per borrower in 2015, which is up 4% from 2014. The state with the highest average student debt is New Hampshire, totaling $36,101, and a whopping 76% of the students are in debt in New Hampshire. Utah has the lowest student debt average, totaling $18,873, and only 41% of the student population is in debt. In Indiana, our home state, the average student debt is $29,022, and 61% of the students are in debt.
How long did the debt affect you, and is it still affecting you?
I took out loans for my years at private school, so that was only, 3 years. And then when I went to state school, I didn't have to take out loans. I got grants and whatever. But the loans I took out are still affecting me today. I have $50,000 in student debt, and it's terrible. And it's something that, early on when I was young, no one really said how much of a problem it is, and I didn't really think about it, and yeah, it's not good.
The cost for the higher education that is almost a necessity in our society is among the fastest rising in American culture today. From 1980 to today, the tuition cost of colleges and universities has risen 757%. This is not due to inflation either, because the cost of food and electricity has risen 150%, and gasoline prices has risen 400%, which is still nowhere close to the amount that higher education has.
So, I think there are a number of things that the White House is doing and that Congress is interested in doing to address this. I think that, I'll give you the bad news first, which is that none of them are going to really, fix this problem at the root of the student debt issue, which is that college is too expensive and people have to take.
Out of the millions who attend college, less than 20,000 students a year receive full-ride scholarships, and 0.3% of the population receive enough grants and scholarships to cover the full cost of college. With less than 250 private scholarships in the United States that provide enough money to cover the full cost of college, it is very difficult for students to graduate debt-free. In 2014 and 2015, approximately 2/3 of full-time students paid for college with the help of financial aid in the form of grants and scholarships. 7% of financial aid dollars awarded to undergraduates were in the form of grants, and 34% took the form of federal loans.
The only thing to reduce it or to get rid of it completely is to have state-run schools that are financed by tax dollars, but that's not a very ideal situation. Right, so one of the things you can do is place restrictions on just based on exact need. Whatever costs for tuition, books, and room and board or whatever.
debt and trying, over the last several years, there's also been effort to try and keep interest rates on student loans down, which I think borrowers certainly, that's important and a big part of the issue, but it doesn't actually help curb the cost
Free
of
tuition
college.
sounds great, but it's really not looking like the best option either. 70% of students in Sweden, where there is free tuition, end up borrowing money compared to the 70% of students in the US who graduate with a bachelor's degree who are also borrowing money. The typical student debt in Sweden is about 172,000 kronor, or approximately $20,000 US dollars. There's only about a $10,000 difference between Sweden and the US in their average debt, and they only take loans out to pay for the cost of living, where we are paying for the cost of living and tuition.
And the only other thing is to find some other way to enforce repayment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids get out of school and they got all this debt and they can't repay it, but there's no collateral associated with it. Just it's an unsecured loan. They can't take back your education, so a lot of kids don't think they need to pay it back.
Is even worse than you think. Neil Swidey is joining us from Boston this morning. Neil Swidey, why is it worse?
It's worse because I think we look at college, the debt crisis, and think this is hopeless and it's hard, but it's a big number, $1.2 trillion. But when you actually get under the hood and look at what is actually happening with students, particularly low-income students, they're being saddled with packages that are unsustainable right from the start, and they're not graduating. So they're.
The new president-elect, Donald J. Trump, said during his campaign, "I think it's terrible that one of the only profit centers we have is student loans." It is believed that Trump will continue to promote loan forgiveness programs. He wants colleges to set higher standards for who is admitted, denying access to those who it deems unlikely to succeed. He wants to do this so students do not waste money on student loans and instead try and succeed in some other way.
Today, kids, don't go into debt. It's terrible. Don't do it.